So I just finished watching the videos that were assigned for today. We're doing the gender equality portion of the class, and so we got to watch two TED Talks. The first one was by Hans Rosling, and this one was entitled "The Magic Washing Machine," and it was a pretty neat video. He started by talking about washing machines and when when his first washing machine was purchased by his family, and how um, his grandmother and mother and their family had saved up for this washing machine for a long time, and um, so when they got this washing machine, his grandmother insisted that she push the button, and she proceeded to watch the whole wash cycle, and talked about just how fascinated they were by that. Something that a washing machine that we think kind of what's the big deal, for them was a huge deal. It was a huge improvement in their home. And so he talks about how all the homes, like in America and other places, many of them are filled with washing machines. But what about other areas? Other areas that live below the poverty line, other countries that they've never used a washing machine. What do? Well, they have to wash it by hand. They use washboards. They have to go and find the water, whether that be bring the water back to them or take their clothes to the water. And then they have to be able to heat it up with wood and to create a fire and heat the water, and just how much more labor intensive their washing clothes is. And so he put a scale up on the screen that had at the one end below the poverty line, which was they would live off of $2 a day or less, or at the clear other end they have living off of $80 or more a day, and that's what he called the airline group. And then he also put a wash line group who lived off of $40 a day, and then also a light bulb group. And this wash line group kind of designated anybody who could afford a washing machine and above. And he talked about how women want the washing machine, and he also said that half of the energy is used by only a seventh of the population, which is something that really struck me, that that much energy is used by such a small portion of the world population, because people who are in that category have access and money for all kinds of machines that take a lot more energy. And so he was talking about how it's interesting how people that are big into the Go Green movement and stuff like that are the major contributors to the energy crisis. And so he was just kind of saying that those people need to quit giving people around the world advice on going green and stuff, when they're the ones using the most energy and others aren't even using any, hardly. And so he kind of said, what if more people were able to afford washing machines? Then what would happen with the energy level and stuff like that? And it would increase, but he said that still those who are above, like with more money, are still going to be the major users of energy, and it would just escalate. And so he talks about, because of the washing machine, it allows women to do other things, like go to the library, learn, study, and they can develop those skills, and how it's created extra time for them, and they're able to advance their educations. And so an invention that, while it takes a lot of energy, is just providing multiple opportunities for his grandmother, his mother, and women around the world. It allows them more time to learn and to grow, and empowers them. And then the second video I watched was by Cheryl Rudin, and it's called Our Country's Greatest Injustice. And so she talks about a lot of different stories about girls around the world, and kind of their educational stories, or lack of, or just the situation that they are in. The first one, she talks about a girl who lives in China, and I think they said her name is Diamond Ju, and she lives with her parents and her families, and she's the best student in her class, and she got donations to be able to go to school, but they gave the money to the principal, and she was able to go to secondary school and get a job and sent money back to her family, and how it improved their lifestyle. It allowed them to get a new home and things that they need. And it was able to pull her out of a vicious cycle, which is something this speaker particularly focused on, is getting girls out of the cycle of just forever being in poverty, and they have children who are then in the same situation, and it's just an ongoing occurrence and it never improves. She was able to change her family and her village situation by going to school. And then she talks about the oppression of women and says that there are way more males than females. In a lot of countries, if a male child isn't born, they'll abort the daughter because they just can't pay for her and they need someone to carry on the family name and stuff. So they just don't do as much for girls. There's a girl in Ethiopia she talks about that's starving, but her brothers are doing just fine. They're healthy. Well, but we just put more focus and effort into the boys. So that could be why there's such a shortage of girls. She said that between ages 1 and 5 in India, girls die at a high rate. And so she says the best way to fight poverty is to bring women back into the workforce. She says that women and girls are part of the solution, not the problem. She talks about modern slavery and sex trafficking and how there are 800,000 trafficked across borders and more within borders. And you can buy a girl trafficked for cheaper than you ever have been before, so that just makes the girl just more disposable and worth less. And so she talked about the maternal mortality, and that 1 in 7, in I don't know what country she said, have a predictable chance of dying during childbirth and stuff. She says they have 3 strikes. They're poor, they're rural, and they're female. She talked about a girl in Ethiopia that had obstructed labor, and it caused a fistula, which made it so that she was incontinent. She couldn't hold her bowel and bladder, and how because of that people rejected her. They put her in a hut outside of town and just took away the door, hoping that the hyenas would get her. But she was able to fight them off, and then proceeded to take herself to a nearby village where a missionary helped her get to a hospital to get care. And the hospital was impressed by her and helped her to become a nurse and gain an education. And now she is giving back to other women. And so she was also able to just break out of this vicious cycle and is helping tons through her work. The speaker talked about when you educate a girl, she'll have fewer kids or kids later in life, but she will just give back. And so she talks about a girl in Pakistan that was beaten by an unemployed husband. She had a couple daughters, and she ended up getting a loan for an embroidery machine, created a business, was employing like 30 women, and so it just really stimulated their economy in that area. It helped her family and other women as well. She talked about the highest return of investment right now being girls' education. She talked about a girl named Beatrice that their family had a goat that was only $125, and the goat allowed her to go to primary education, and she was so smart she went to secondary education where she was so smart they gave her a scholarship to come to the U.S., and she is the first girl from her village to be able to do that. So this lady just really wrapped it up by saying that we can make a difference, we can contribute. Contributing to education will have the highest return, and it really will make you feel happy to have contributed to a great cause. So it's neat to see just how important women getting educations is, and how it doesn't just affect them, it affects everyone around them and really helps them to improve and improve the lives of others.